never went to see the Black Panther, and I will never see the Black Panther, even if it's offered in my living room for free, because it's based on fiction. I don't do fiction. My people's history has been rubbished and erased and lied about so much. I don't have time to fit historical fiction in my life, because the Black Panther is a real story that has to be told. Again, a matriarch, Saronia, that was the title. Like you have the Kendake Queens, all these people are in my book, by the way. So she fought a bitter war, and I say she, even if different Saronias were coming on, because Arabs came in 476, the white people were 1400 onwards. But they could not Islamize them. So they say, the Arabs tell them, oh no, you will take Niger, but those villages ruled by Saronia, you will not take them. The French say, oh, this is our born. We will see. I like what they say. We will see between their God and our God who is powerful. Today we say it's the same God because we are confused, because we hold on so much to Christianity, we don't want to let go. It's painful to realize the false doctrine. That's what the French say. They are mass, reinforce, they go to war. Cut a long story short, they defeat Abantu Bakasaronia. I don't know why it's running away from me what they were called. Right now, I'm forgetting it. They defeat them. They're going to behead her. So they strip her naked. That's what they all did with the people. It's the same thing they did to Sarah Bartman, because it's first point of humiliation. They strip her naked, they chain her, they call all her people to a square, because that's how we built pre-colonially. Things basically ebandla. And that's why I'm in job that's how you resolve problems. So they call them to the village square. They are going to show them that njengoba nje ningafuni ukuconverta to Christianity, ningafuni ucolonizwa, lento enibambileyo ayikho. African spirituality is a boy compared to Jesus. So we are going to behead your queen in front of you. So bayamletha again naked. The people can't look bajonga pants. That's their queen, naked, in chains. Village square. She says to them, if you claim you are as civilized as you claim than us, and you're going to behead me, and it is your law. It is in our law, before sisendens umuntu, to ask them, is there anything you want to say? Are you going to ask me? But what do you want to say? Ati, allow me just one grace. Ndivumeleni ndiye pha endumbe, where I speak with my ancestors. For the last time, they allow her. She goes in there. Time passes. It's leading up to an hour. Everyone is like they are seized onto the square. They can't move, but they're restless, especially the French, because they want to get it over with. Before the hour passed, those doors flung open. What came out was a Black Panther. Christianity tells you today that shape-shifting is evil. I want to shape-shift, because if I can shape-shift, I will liberate a lot of my people. She shape-shifted into a panther. The bottom line is they couldn't kill her, they couldn't behead her, and she left an even greater testimony to her people that it is not true that African spirituality is subjected or smaller than Christianity. And they had to give her a guard of honor, as that panthers merrily rode through the crowds and disappeared into the forest.
I want to take a picture of this shit. Okay, this is your last day busting a sag or shooing your ass like that. Okay, now you a prince with amnesia, a god with amnesia. You have to recall, you have to tap into your Akashic record and remember who you are genetically. You are God with amnesia. You are not the dog on the other end of the spectrum. You're the God on the proper end of the spectrum. You almighty God with amnesia. So from this point on, you got to learn to reclaim your sacred image. Now, we already know we've lost the black woman that appears to the goddamn Chinaman. You can't see her for seeing, goddamn it, Susie Wong. You have to show up to show the women that they got men who care about how they look. Right now, they don't have a standard bearer in the game other than myself, it appears. So, from this point on, your ass is not out. You don't walk in my store with your ass in my face as if I want some ass. I don't want no ass. No other man wants no goddamn ass unless he been compromised. So from this point on, your pants is up. You upright. You looking like a guard and not a dog. You clear? Thank you for receiving me. I love you.
That's one, number 44, and the one before that, 43, Bush and Obama. Well, there are pictures of Bush with his arm around 8-year-old Barack Obama because his stepdaddy, adopted daddy, Lolo Sotoro, had done a lifetime worth of business with the Bushes. Uncle George Herbert Walker, after whom George Herbert Walker Bush, Bush 1 president, was named, founded Halliburton in 1946 in Oklahoma. And Lolo Sotoro had been international executive vice president for Standard Oil.
There was talk of him being a CIA asset.
Well, yeah, see, he ran the death squads for the Indonesian army. On his own call, anyone could be assassinated. So when George Herbert Walker Bush became head of the CIA under the Ford administration, he just got with his old buddy in the oil business, Lolo Sotoro, and pulled off the hits. See, Barack's grandmother has been acknowledged as being the woman that operated the channels through which CIA money went to the Southwest Pacific. So she introduced her daughter, who had just had Barry, Barack, to Lolo Sotoro, and they got married, and Lolo Sotoro adopted Barack Obama. The name was changed to Barry Sotoro. Now, when he went to high school in Hawaii, I know about that high school. I almost sent my oldest son to it. I could afford it, but I didn't think he deserved it. 20 years ago, the tuition was $95,000 a year, not including room and board. When Obama went there, I've talked to two of his classmates. They independently state that the tuition, not including room and board, was $45,000. Now, Business Insider reports his income for 2017 at over $200 million net. That's after taxes, deductions, write-offs. For this last year, 2018, they reported it as $570+ million. And that's after all deductions, tax, right? Trump doesn't make that net. I mean, even some of the richest people in America don't make that. Why? Because when his stepdaddy died, he was one of the 10, 15 richest men on earth. And he left everything in a trust fund operated out of Indonesia, so the American government can't touch it. That makes Barack Obama 1/3 beneficiary for the assets of one of the 10, 15 richest men on earth. See, so we got a game run on us. So, you know that little thing that Bush W does when he gets with Michelle, they giggle and he gives her candy. The inside thing is that's supposed to be the same kind of candy he used to give to her husband when he was 6, 7, 8 years old.
It's a big club, and you ain't in it. You and I are not in the big club.
When I was a baby, I don't know what I saw first. My mama, my papa, or this Jesus. Now, he's the one I know and love. So let's close the subject.
Shalom Alaikum, Jackson 2 Bash. Mr. Baloo, what's the use of saying Shalom Alaikum to me? I'm a full Sioux Indian. I'm not one of the chosen people. All right, go ahead being stubborn if you want. I ain't stubborn. Oh, not much you ain't. You know, according to an ex-congressman of these United States, I heard give a lecture at the Chautauqua this winter. Indians is the lost tribe of Israel, but he won't admit it.
If I knew my Bible, and I know my Bible, you're a descendant of a king of the Jews. Jesus was black, the Bible would have said so.
But it does say so.
What are you talking about?
I read about it. It's in Revelation chapter 1, verse 14. It says, his hair is like wool, and his eyes are like flaming fire.
Oh, Lord have mercy. It sure do say that, don't it?
And see, Mom, look at that hair, like wool, ain't it? And look at them eyes, red like fire.
Yeah, they sure do.
How do we know Jesus wasn't black? He could have been from the lost tribe of Israel. They were supposed to be black.
I bet they were. If ever people were lost, we're it.
80%, some say as much as 90%, so I will settle on 85 if that's okay with you tonight.
Okay, yeah.
85% of world Jewry today are Ashkenazi. This is not small stuff. We're saying the majority of Jews in the world today, people who are called Jews, are Ashkenazi.
A Jewish historian looked into the ancestry of the Ashkenazi Jews and wrote the 13th tribe to show that their homeland is the area near the Caspian Sea. The mainstream media is ignoring this information. Most of the alternative media is also ignoring it.
The listeners they already know that the Khazars are the forerunners to the Ashkenazi sect of Judaism. So, since you've done the study, where did the Khazar dynasty begin and how did it get underway?
We find these Khazars who live in the area which was named after them, Khazaria, which is the land locked between the Black Sea and the Caspian Sea.
The Khazars did what they're known for. Yeah, that's right. Their conversion to Judaism. As a letter from the last Kagan to a rabbi in Cordoba would lead us to believe. It's called the Khazar Correspondence. It's one of the main historic documents we have to get information about the Khazars from. And what the Kagan states is that the conversion to Judaism took place in around the late 700s under the rule of Bulan Kagan.
Then they came under pressure to take sides in a growing contention around them. Coming down from the north was Eastern Orthodox Christianity, and coming up from the south was Islam. And they knew that if they succumbed to pressure from either of those to join their organization and embrace their philosophy, it would surely offend the other.
Both empires sent religious missionaries, and Bulan agreed to hold a religious debate where he asked the Muslim Qadi and the Christian priest to argue with one another until they proved which religion is superior to him. After seeing neither arrive to any conclusion after excessive dispute, he asked the priest of the religion of the Israelites and the Muslims, which is preferred. Of course, not wanting to agree with the Muslim Qadi, the priest told Bulan that the Israelites were a superior religion. Bulan then asked the Qadi of the religion of the Christians and the Israelite, which is preferred. The Qadi, of course, not wanting to agree with the Christian priest, told Bulan that the Jews were preferred.
He got their input, and after the input he announced, for me and my people, we're talking about 20 million people and about 4,000 nobility, for me and my people, we choose to become Jews.
So maybe that the Jewish people today who are white, Caucasian people came in a little bit later on.
Now, this was not a heartfelt conversion. This was not something that was deep in their breast that they felt they needed to make a conversion because they thought that was the proper way to serve the Creator. This was something that was done as a political expediency. And in the course of studying about their new religion, and you do have to study it, even if you're only going to charade. It is absolutely necessary to study about it so that you can fake it.
The Ashkenazi started looking at Judaism not so much with the emphasis on the Torah, but looking more to the Talmud.
And in the course of doing so, they came across the character with whom they could truly identify. It was Lucifer, the morning light, that fell from grace and became Satan, the adversary. And they formed an inner circle within Judaism dedicated to the forces of evil.
And I just heard that you black people that was stolen from Africa to America, that you don't know who you are. But you are the children of Yahweh, the children of Israel, because us the Gentiles, we do need you. We need you to come and pray because you are our saviors. You're the one that was chosen by Yahweh.
Blacks of America, it's you. You are the true Hebrews. you're the true Hebrews from the Bible. America gonna do everything, gonna invest as much money as it has, gonna fight as much wars as they can, gonna invite as much weapons as they can just to hide this away from you. Gonna take Israel, gonna bring white people here and to tell you these are the Jews, gonna kill you, gonna kill Arabs, gonna mistreat white people like this guy, just to tell you this lie, that you are nobody and we are the Jews with all the history and so on. It has been deleted, your history. You don't know who you are. Don't forget about it. This is why America has been taking your history away, never to find out that it's all about you.
Jewish ship merchants, and of course the Portuguese and the British Ashkenazi were the main buyers. Islam and the Ashkenazi, those that say that they are Jews and are not, were the main sellers.
You know they were sold into slavery. We know now that they're fulfilling prophecies by saying, we're coming back.
Yes, we believe, the Jewish belief is against the state of Israel.
Are you for the real return of the real children of Israel?
We believe that all Israel need to be returned to the Palestinians.
Do you know that the black man in America is Israel? That he's Jews? Do you know that?
Yes.
You
are the real Jew.
Any comments on Israel? We're asking everybody today. Any comments on Israel?
Get the hell out of Palestine.
Ooh. Better comments.
Remember, these people are occupied, and it's their land. It's not German, it's not Polish.
So where should they go? Where should they go?
They go home.
This way, to believe me a little bit, because I'm living in Israel and I'm part of this injustice.
Dying. It is dying. The old ways of living, the old ways of doing things, it's not gonna last for too much long. I'm saying this to y'all because it's important that those that understand, that are aligned and what's going on around here, that y'all paying attention, because without us making a change right now and shifting our consciousness, our kids they're gonna fall victim to the system too. And the system I'm talking about it's a myriad of objective topics that we follow since we were kids, which is sex, love, relationships, religion, culture, class, finance, entertainment, media, social platforms at this point. Please do not fall victim to these things that are being manipulated and controlled. Please do not. Please do not. We have so many truth tellers out here that are doing the right things, and I could point them out, but you have to have your own level of discernment once you're consciously awakened to what's really going on. And I could go on and on, but look, I have to speak in general topics because it gets too mixy. You know what I'm saying? But I hopped on here specifically to share something with y'all. My generation, the millennial generation, we got to be better. We got to be better. My millennial generation, we got to be better. We know too much of the truth. And sometimes that will put us in places where we're fearful, but we have society. And in order to make an impact out here that is generationally sound, where it lasts for not just one generation, but for 7 to 10 to 20 generations now, we have to break free mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically. You know what I'm saying? It's not easy to do it, but we have people out here that are willing to extend a helping hand and do it, you know? And I went live on this main page because I know that, you know, some people are going to take this as, oh man, this guy's, what is he talking about now? This guy thinks he's, and it's like, it's not even about that. I don't even think he's, and it's like, it's not even about that. I don't even have energy to give that to, or to give to that today, you know, or any point in my life. But I will tell you this, we got to be better. We have to protect our youth. We have to protect our ways of life. We have to protect the kids that are looking up to us. So my millennial generation, this is a call out to you. No, real.
Whites are racist. Can you expound on that?
Any white person who was born, raised, and schooled in the United States of America, if you aren't a racist, you're a miracle. Either that or you decided to educate yourself. Because education in this country is about white is right, brown's all right, black's got to stand back. Yellow's mellow, but whites, we educate in a way that says that white males have done all the adventures, have made all the adventures, have done all the discovering, have made all, everything that is good and has been accomplished according to social studies, which is actually anti-social studies, by white males. It's a lie. But we do that in order to maintain the myth of white superiority. The myth of race has to be maintained at all costs in this country. Because if white people have to give up the color of their skin as being something that makes them perfect, what do they have left? If we start teaching the truth about history, if we start teaching about Nile Valley contributions to civilization, it will totally change the way we conduct ourselves in the classroom. It will have to. Columbus didn't discover America. You can't discover a place where people are already living. But we celebrate that every October. It's a lie. We need to get over it. We need to stop telling the myths and start telling the truth.
So when you tell people that they're racist, and it must have some kind of effect, because most people will say, I'm not racist.
I'm not a racist. Why, some of my best friends are black. Yeah, and then you say, name one. Or this one, I don't see color. And when some woman says to me, I don't see color, I say, I knew that. If you saw color, you wouldn't dye your hair that way. Or I say, if you saw color, you wouldn't wear that shirt with those pants. I believe that you don't see color. It's an attempt to deny skin color. And it's an attempt to deny what's wrong with seeing the color of my skin. Is it all right for you to see me kind of pink? That's okay for me. I don't mind. And I suspect that you don't mind being seen the color you are. You have a right to be what you are. And until people in this country and people in this world get it into their heads that the first amount of human beings evolved on this earth were black women. They evolved in sub-Saharan Africa about 280,000 years ago. And every human being on the face of the earth today has the memory of those black women's genetic structure in their genes. Now, we don't want to admit that, but that's the way it is. And as people moved farther and farther from the equator, their bodies produced less and less melanin, so their hair, their skin, and their eyes got lighter. As they moved into the east, they ate a lot of fish and a lot of vegetables, so their skin took on a different tone. I found that out when I was raising little kids. My husband worked in a supermarket. He was the head of the produce department, and they had lots of oranges that they couldn't sell till we'd bring them home. And I was feeding my kids orange juice like you never saw in your life. They began to have an orange cast to their skin. I thought they had a liver problem. So I took her to the doctor, and she said, what are you feeding these kids? I said, well, lots of orange juice. She said, stop it if you want them to stop being orange. Now, if you think that skin color isn't anything other than the body's natural reaction to the natural environment, get over it.
So, if all white people are racist, according to you, can they be reprogrammed?
Of course they can. Of course they can. Of course they can be. It's called education. I'm an educator. The word educator comes from the root duc, which means lead, the prefix e, which means out, the suffix ate, which means the act of, and the suffix or, which means one who does. An educator is one who is engaged in the act of leading people out of